Does Peppa Pig follow rules? Seriously? We all thought Peppa Pig didn't have to follow any strict rules in her life. But we're wrong, friends. Throughout this series, we've seen that she actually follows several strict rules. Want to know what they are? Let's take a look in this video. George gets special treatment because he's the youngest. This is probably a rule all older siblings are used to, and Peppa is no exception. In many episodes, we see how Peppa's parents and even her relatives give George special treatment because he's the youngest. Just take a look at the difference between their birthday parties. Peppa only got a dress for her doll and a pretty lame magic show her dad put together. But George? He got a surprise dinosaur-themed party at the museum, a huge dinosaur toy, a dinosaur cake, and even more dinosaurs for everyone to enjoy. The difference in how they're treated is monumental, to say the least. Or how about when Peppa's grandpa takes the kids to the park to have fun? Everyone is waiting their turn to slide down the playground slide, but when Richard Rabbit struggles to wait because he's too young, Peppa's grandpa gives preference to the younger kids, including George. Because of this, all the other kids have to wait until the little ones feel like giving up their turns. Wow, this definitely seems like an unfair rule sometimes. But the truth is, that's just how life works, friends. It seems like a rule Peppa has learned to accept over time. Daddy Pig is the only one people tease about his tummy. This might sound like a really strange rule, but for some reason, that's how it works in the show, friends. It doesn't matter if the other characters have the same size and tummy as Daddy Pig. Everyone always teases him, and apparently Peppa can't do anything about it. Let me give you some examples, friends. For instance, there's the time when Peppa and her family went to the town's fair, and Daddy Pig wanted to try his luck at Mr. Bull's game. Mr. Bull couldn't stop laughing at Daddy Pig, making fun of him and saying he probably couldn't win the game because, and I quote, "Maybe it's because of Daddy Pig's big round tummy." What? Or how about the episode where Grandpa Pig built a playhouse for Peppa and George, and Peppa declared the password was Daddy's Big Tummy? At least Daddy Pig doesn't seem to mind that everyone teases him about his tummy, or that Peppa, instead of drawing a vegetable, drew her dad sitting on the couch watching TV. But hey, rules are rules, friends. Brushing their teeth without fail. Just because they're little pigs who love jumping in muddy puddles doesn't mean they're dirty all the time. Peppa and George are required to brush their teeth before bed, no exceptions. This is a rule many of us were taught as kids, but probably not everyone follows it now. In fact, Peppa was taught this rule very well, because if she doesn't keep her teeth clean, the tooth fairy won't bring her any gifts when her teeth fall out. I guess this is an excellent rule we should all follow. Road safety rules. This is one of the rules that's emphasized the most with Peppa and her friends in the show. They must always look both ways and listen before crossing the street. On top of that, they're taught the meaning of traffic light colors. It's a good thing Peppa learned all this, because I don't think it'll be very pleasant to see Danny Dog end up as Danny Pancake, right? They stress this rule so much with Peppa that she even becomes a traffic officer and helps her classmate avoid accidents, like when Pedro Pony was almost run over by the hot dog stand. Dress code rules. Just like brushing your teeth, Peppa has to follow a strict dress code. For example, she has to wear her pajamas to go to bed. Daddy Pig makes this very clear, especially when he checks on them at night and notices George isn't wearing his pajamas. Immediately he gets upset and tells George to put them on. But Peppa's parents are not just strict about pajamas at bedtime. No, friends, these little pigs love staying fashionable. For instance, another dress code rule is that everyone has to wear coats when going out at night. It doesn't matter if they're just stepping out to look at the stars. Daddy and Mommy Pig always make sure their kids are dressed warmly. At least this way they avoid a nasty cold. The same applies to clothing for outings. Peppa can't leave the house in her school uniform, pajamas, or just any random outfit. She has to dress for the occasion. And wow, this dress code rule is very strict for Peppa, because for every situation she needs the appropriate outfit. Her uniform for school, her raincoat for wet weather, or her swimsuit for the pool. It seems like the little pigs really enjoy dressing well. Tell us in the comments if your family also follows this rule or if they don't care how you dress. Good manners. One of the strictest rules for these little ones is that they must say please and thank you. They even teach them that these are magic words they should always use. Peppa takes this very seriously, even teaching our classmates to always say thank you when receiving something and please when asking for something. At least now we know that while Peppa can be quite mischievous, she'll still say please, thank you, and apologize if she makes a mistake. Swimming and pool rules. But friends, Peppa doesn't just follow rules at home. Even when she goes to the pool, she has to follow certain rules, especially to avoid drowning. First, she's not allowed to run around the pool like crazy, so she doesn't fall in and drown. She also can't jump into the pool and splash around like she loves doing in muddy puddles. Peppa has this rule down though, because when Mr. Bull was splashing water everywhere, Peppa immediately called him out. And of course, the only thing she's allowed to wear in the pool is her swimsuit. No regular clothes allowed. This isn't just enforced by her parents, even Madame Gazelle gives them a full rundown of all these rules to ensure everyone has a fun and safe time in the pool. In the end, Peppa turned out to be more responsible than Mr. Bull. Rules in the car. One thing that many kids need to remember is that there are always rules to follow in the car to ensure everyone's safety. And Peppa is no exception. In fact, Peppa's family has several rules they always follow when using their car. The first rule is that their car must always be clean. This was made too clear when we saw Peppa's little red car covered in dirt and grime. And the entire family had to wash it before they could use it. So you'll never see a wash me sign on Peppa Pig's car. The next rule Peppa must follow before the car starts moving is that everyone needs to buckle their seatbelts. Daddy Pig always makes sure that everyone is ready and secure before driving off. It's such an important rule that they must follow, especially if they want to put the car's roof down. And in Peppa's world, they're so strict that they even have to follow rules when they play. Just pay attention. To go on the swings, you need to hold on tightly and not swing too high. On the slide, you must go down one at a time with both feet together. On the seesaw, there must be one person in each end, and when getting off, you can't slam it down. And when spinning on the merry-go-round, you mustn't go too fast, or you might fall off or get flung into the air. Did you expect all these rules in Peppa Pig? Well friends, I don't think any of us expected Peppa's world to have so many rules. Let us know in the comments what other rules you think Peppa might have. We'll be reading your thoughts in the comments.